Day 137. Some days becoming better doesn't feel inspiring. It feels tiring. It feels like holding myself back, choosing silence, choosing distance, choosing peace, and wondering why it costs so much. Jesus says, I am the light of the world, but light isn't loud, and salt doesn't prove itself. They just stay true to what they are. I'm learning that growth doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like restraint, like not reacting, like walking away before resentment settles in. I want peace, but not the kind that asks me to disappear, not the kind that costs me my boundaries. So today, Lord, I don't ask to be better in other people's eyes. I ask for the courage to stay honest with you, to choose integrity over approval, and to trust that quiet faithfulness is enough. Stay with me while I learn how to carry this. Amen. Day 138. Today I went to church, not enthusiastic, just knowing I needed it. It gives me peace, a sense of purpose, an anchor, a quiet feeling that all is well, even when life brings uncertainty or fear. It gives me routine, putting my body back into rhythm. At the end of Mass, the priest blew out the candle, and for a moment I thought, what if instead of blowing it out, he had simply covered it? The flame would have faded slowly, quietly, almost like magic. And that's when I thought, the fire is like us. It's the spirit inside us, and sometimes that fire is put out suddenly, and sometimes it's slowly diminished, not by force, but by exhaustion, unspoken grief, or caring too much for too long. Maybe that's why little things matter more than we think. Short breaks, moments of rest, spontaneity that gives air back to the spirit, and kindness, always kindness, because you never know what someone else is carrying. Day 139. God did not leave us guessing about what goodness looks like. He gave commandments, not to burden us, but to anchor us. Jesus distilled them into one clear direction for life. Love God with all your heart, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. That is the measure. The difficulty does not come from the law. It comes when we try to prove our goodness instead of leave it. When we feel the need to convince everyone of what's in our heart or say yes out of fear, faith becomes heavy. Life becomes complicated. Peace slips away. But Jesus never asked us to manage our image. He asked us to follow Him. Living the law of love includes truth, acting justly, choosing mercy, walking humbly, and knowing when to step back. Not out of hardness, but out of honesty. Not everyone will understand us. That is not a failure of goodness. It is a limitation of human sight. So we choose to do good, and slowly we are shaped by it, free from applause, anchored in love. Life may not be easy, but it becomes simple. Amen. Day 140. Today's gospel reminds me that what shapes my life doesn't come from the outside, it comes from within. But that's hard to live because people judge from the outside. They say you're okay, and sometimes that helps, but sometimes we're not, and we don't even know how to explain why. We just feel something heavy, unsettled, off. Sometimes we lack the vocabulary for our own emotions, so we either dismiss them or believe other people's words more than our own heart. But Jesus brings it back to the inside, not the noise, not the image, the heart. When I slow down and listen, I can acknowledge the fear, the hurt, the tension, and instead of pretending, I can bring it to God. Because being anchored doesn't mean I feel nothing. It means I'm honest about what I feel and I root it in truth. So today I ask, am I living from the outside in or from the inside out? Lord, help me understand my own heart and anchor it in you. Amen. Day 141. Responsibility is an important passage, not only by age, but by willingness. It's when problems stop being abstract and start becoming yours. A pipe breaks, electric lines get tangled, something doesn't work, and you feel the weight of it. In today's gospel, the disciples worry because they forgot bread. And Jesus says, "Do you not remember? He had already provided before." And today that made sense to me. Responsibility isn't about not having problems. It's about how you respond when they come. I've learned to pause and ask, how should we work on this? And in that pause, I try to remember to bring it to Him, because that's where my help and strength come from. And when it gets resolved, I'm learning not to forget Him either. Maybe remembering is part of growing in responsibility. Not carrying everything alone, not pretending it's easy, just knowing where help comes from. Amen. Day 142. There's a quiet sadness in realizing that fewer people need me now. No urgent calls, no constant reliance, no small hands reaching for mine. Part of me aches because being needed once gave me a place, a role, a kind of proof that I mattered. But another part of me is grateful. Grateful that they are strong. Grateful that they can stand on their own. Grateful that love did not become a cage. Because I know the other side too. How heavy it is when someone cannot stand without you. How care can turn into exhaustion. How love can slowly feel like obligation. So today I hold both truths. It is sad to be less needed, and it is beautiful to be free from being required. Maybe this is what love looks like as it matures. Not possession, not dependence, but quiet presence. Still here, still loving, even when no one is asking me to stay. Amen. Day 143. Noticing is grace, but noticing does not always mean obligation. God does not ask us to give what we do not have. He does not measure love by exhaustion. He invites, He does not coerce. Sometimes the first act of service is simply to see, to care, to bring the need into prayer. Because service without peace becomes pressure, but service chosen freely becomes love. And in that quiet discernment, grace is already at work. Amen. Day 144. There was a time I asked my mother what she wanted me to be. She didn't say successful, she didn't say rich, she didn't say famous. She said, be a good person, be responsible for yourself. Simple words, clear, enough, and yet, why do I still feel the need to become something more? Why does enough feel unsettling? Why do I fear being ordinary? Maybe it's because the world taught us that worth must be proven, that we must stand out to matter. But today I'm remembering, goodness is not small, responsibility is not failure, a quiet life is not a wasted life. Enough is not the end of becoming, it is the foundation. And maybe the life I'm building, steady, honest, imperfect, is already something. Amen. Day 145. While sitting in Mass today, a quiet question came to me. How did I get here? I remember when I was younger, we prayed the Rosary. I liked it. I liked reading aloud, I think. Then one day we stopped. Maybe we just got busy. I also remember one Sunday, the heat and drowsiness blurring together. Without thinking, I took someone's fan while they were using it. And when I realized, I returned it right away. A small, awkward memory that stayed with me. And now here I am at 40, in a different place from where I grew up, yet meeting God in the same quiet way.
Looking back, I see how faith didn't disappear. It just waited for me to return. I think about my parents. They did not serve in church ministries, but they worked hard and provided well. And because of that, I am here, able to sit, able to reflect, able to seek. I don't fully understand the path, but I trust Him. And today I am thankful for where I came from and for the grace that keeps bringing me back. Amen.
Day 146. Today I realized something simple, but deeply humbling. The care needed by an infant and the care needed by an elderly person is often the same. Both need someone to watch over them. Both need patience. Both need gentle help with movements others take for granted. Both need reassurance that they are not alone. There will be days when we feel strong, able to go anywhere, do anything, and then one day, illness, accident, or age may make our world smaller. And in those moments, a small visit, a shared movement, someone simply staying beside us can mean everything. While I still have strength, I hope to be that presence for others, and one day to receive the same care with grace. Amen. Day 147. I learned it was one of the seniors' birthday. There was no big celebration, just quiet greeting and warm smiles. It made me pause and wonder how many people grow older feeling less seen with each passing year. I found myself imagining something simple, keeping a small record of seniors, servants, and the sick, sending birthday cards, sharing one humble celebration each month. Maybe small gestures like this could draw people closer to one another and to God, reminding them they belong. Nothing grand, just remembering each other. Lord, help me notice who needs to be remembered. Amen. Day 148. Today our priest spoke about something that felt like fresh air. He reminded us not to be self-righteous and said he knows God to be a loving God. Hearing that from a leader mattered because sometimes, as part of the LGBTQ plus community, I feel lesser under the weight of people's opinions. Not always spoken aloud, but felt in silence, in looks, in assumptions. And in those moments, I find myself whispering inside, let God be the judge, not out of defiance, but out of trust. Trust that God sees beyond labels. Trust that God knows my heart. Trust that love is bigger than human understanding. Today reminded me that faith should not suffocate. It should let us breathe. And maybe that's what I'm holding on to. A God who is loving, a God who sees me, a God who invites, not excludes. So if ever you've ever felt unseen or judged, remember, we do not belong to people's opinions. We belong to God's love. Amen.